Hello, YTPC. Ethan, Parsimonious Piper here. Today we've got some more morsels for mental manducation. But first, in a 3-star kind of coral finished Pipe by Lee pair, I've got some more of that 7L 145th anniversary gifted to me by Matthew at Picking and Piping. And I'm enjoying it. Oh, let's start off this week with Politico, that far-right conspiracy site. They ran an article this week acknowledging that the Hunter Biden laptop was a legitimate story. After spending the entire election cycle telling us that it was just right-wing disinformation. Will Politico wind up in social media jail for having spread misinformation? Not likely. Maxine Waters, the gift that keeps on giving. In a press conference discussing video that she had seen of Border Patrol controlling horses, etc., on the border. And I quote, "What we witnessed takes us back hundreds of years. What we witnessed was worse than what we witnessed in slavery. They're trying to take us back to slavery days, and worse than that." So, using the reins on a horse and not actually coming in contact with human flesh with either the reins or the horse, that's worse than slavery. You know, it's this kind of overblown, overheated rhetoric that makes normal people tune a lot of politicians on both sides out entirely. Last week, I mentioned how vaccine mandates by the left's own rules must be racist because they can be perceived as having a disparate impact on minorities. I predicted that we wouldn't hear much about that from the left because, well, the idea of vaccine mandates came from the left. This last week, Black Lives Matter promised protests, translate riots, against vaccine mandates because they are racist. I truly enjoy being proven wrong when it gives me an opportunity to watch the left eat its own. Can't make this stuff up, folks. It's great. Now that the shot, at least one of them, has FDA approval, manufacturers can now be held liable for side effects and ill consequences of the vaccines. Just kidding, folks. You see, all three of the big manufacturers here in the U.S. applied for approval under different pharmaceutical names than what is actually out there being jabbed into people's shoulders. The approval that has been given so far is for a vaccine that doesn't actually exist. Under emergency use authorization, you can't sue the manufacturer for ill side effects. Under approval, you can. But there are no approved vaccines that are actually available right now. All of the manufacturers are still pumping out vaccines under the old EUA names. How do they get by with this? Well, something that has FDA approval, as soon as there is an available drug that has FDA approval, you can no longer use pharmaceuticals for that same purpose that only have an EUA. Available being the key word. So as long as the manufacturers do not actually manufacture the approved versions of the vaccines, they can continue manufacturing and selling the EUA versions and not being held accountable. Source for that? Oh, that crazy right-wing conspiracy site, CNBC. Last but not least, if you are not interested at all in Middle East, Palestinian, Jewish history, the history of that particular stretch of land between Turkey and Egypt, go ahead and tune out. We'll see you next week, and it'll be less political. This last item I find interesting, and it's a little long, so that's why I gave you fair warning. If you're not interested, no hard feelings. We'll see you next week. It is interesting to me, however, how often archaeological finds confirm at least the historicity of events that are related in the Bible. Of course, they can't confirm that God caused them or any such thing, but they confirm that they happened. One of the most controversial in the Old Testament is the tale of Sodom and Gomorrah. Check this out. A dig near the Dead Sea that's been worked on for about 15 years uncovered a 5-foot layer of charcoal, ash, and melted material. Research said that the destruction layer, as they call it, could not have been caused by a volcano, an earthquake, or a battle, a man-made event of any kind, because none of those events could have melted both metal and pottery in the way that they have been found in this layer. Instead, they believe an asteroid likely exploded about 2.5 miles above the surface. Clothing and wood, flesh, would have immediately burst into flames. But some of these other materials, pottery, swords, spears, they would have started melting as the temperatures skyrocketed to over 3,600 degrees Fahrenheit. Scientists discovered sand grains known as shock quartz that only form at 725,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. In addition, they found microscopic diamondoids, each smaller than a flu virus, and it appears that wood and plants in this area, some of them, were basically instantly turned into this diamond-like material because of the fireball's high temperatures and pressures. After conducting some laboratory experiments in furnaces, researchers concluded that the pottery and mud bricks found melted at temperatures over 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. Fire from the sky destroyed and buried a city, killed everyone in the vicinity, melted metal and pottery. One of the researchers said, "It's possible that an oral description of the city's destruction may have been handed down for generations until it was recorded as the biblical Sodom." That's one possibility. The other possibility is that, well, the Bible's actually right. Choose for yourself. With that, folks, it is a lovely day here in North Carolina. I have got something lit that I like. Y'all do the same. Enjoy your afternoon.